Hello guys, very good evening to you all. Welcome to Unacademy. So this is your teacher here, Waseem. Today we are going to start a new chapter, second chapter, which is nothing but the principle of management. Okay. Before that, let me wait for a couple of minutes and see on the live session. Give me a moment, guys. Okay. So here. So actually, just there is a little confusion here, guys, because actually the chapter is a principle of management, uh, but here on the subject matter they have given it as a scientific management. That also we will cover, but post this concept. Okay, but we will start up with a second chapter. Till now, we have learned on your from your first chapter your what do you mean by significant? What do you mean by management? Significance of management, okay, and objectives of management and all those stuffs we have learned, we have understood, we have even understood the levels of management, and all those things. Now coming to the second chapter, which is nothing but a principles of management. So what is in simple concept, guys, what do you mean by principles? What is principles? Principles in simple terms, it means rules or guidelines, right? Now when I say you the guidelines of principle, right? Sorry, guideline, I'm sorry, guidelines of management or a principle of management. See, for everything there will be a set of rules which we need to follow. There will be a set of guidelines which we need to follow. Now those rules can be modified, those rules can be flexible, those rules can be are made with an experiments, with an uh, l- uh, with practical experiments which they have done it, and they would have set up a rule. Getting it? So here we are going to understand the what all are the principles of management, right? For an example, there are certain guidelines to hire an employee in an organization, right? There are certain guidelines or a principle which we need to follow to give the promotions to an employee. Okay, whether he or she has to finish their so many what do you say, years in an organization and all those stuff. Okay, getting it, guys? So any principle related to the production, there is one production life cycle. This is how you need to start the production of a particular product or services, right? These principles can be rigid, these principles can be flexible. When it comes to the management, the principles are not that rigid, they are flexible in nature, but because these principles are formed by scientists, who have already worked in it, who knows what the right and wrong about it. Okay, so these all principles can be changed accordingly as per the situation also. For an example, we never used to have in olden eras, the principle used to be a different, management could be a different, because those days computers was not there, and there was no what do you say, email, there was no fax facility, no phone call facility. So everything used to work on basis on your what do you say, basis on the paperwork, or someone has to drop a letter or something which used to take a time. But now it is not like that, right? If someone want to take a decisions, immediately they send a mail, get an approval, and everything will be sorted it out, right? So this is completely different here now. So what I want to say you is, the principles can be changed, modified accordingly as per the situations, as per the era, or as per the technologies and all those stuff. Okay, guys. Okay, for an example, I think the same example, in absence of a information or communication technology, a manager could oversee only a small workforce, that too within a narrow geographical space. For an example, there used to be a one regional manager or one site manager who used to look only for that particular site or for that particular smaller team. But now you sitting in India, someone can manage a team sitting in US, team sitting in Guadalajara or Mexico, Guadalajara, which is in Mexico, or any part of a Europe, any part of an Asia, or any part of an Middle East country. Getting it? So in this way, the technologies has changes, and even the principle also will be changed. Getting it? That's how. Okay. Now if you take an example of an Indian multinational company, take an example of a Indian multinational company like Infosys. Now they head office is in Bangalore. Now sitting in a Bangalore, they are managing their worldwide branches, right? They have set up even in America, they have set up in Europe as well, most of the European countries. They also have a setup in Asian countries and Middle East countries. Getting now how they are able to do it? They are able to do it because of the technology, maybe a communication, email, because they are able to talk on the immediately, or someone will send, we will send a email, we'll get a response immediately, and that's how they goes on. Getting it, guys? Hope you understood the meaning of principles. Okay, so now let's understand. Okay, one sec, guys. Okay, now, okay, before going ahead, I just want to thank you for your love. We have crossed 500 subscribers, uh, for the Karnataka PUC Unacademy channel. Okay, this is all because of you guys. We really thank you for all, for your love which you guys have shown in, but we also expect more than that, because we are putting a lot of effort to teach you guys and make you understand each and every concept. Okay, and we are putting a lot of effort even from your examination point of view to get all those questions, and especially the questions related to your subject. Okay, and they related, and the very, what do you say, blueprint examination questions and all. Okay, thank you once again, and also do subscribe for our Unacademy Karnataka PUC channel. Okay, and as we discussed yesterday also, from tomorrow onwards, we are going to start up with a free, what do you say, sessions in Unacademy app, which is only and only for you guys. Please do go ahead and join in, download the app, and do your learnings. Okay, guys, thank you once again. Now coming back to the channel, sorry, coming back to the chapter. Now, when I say you the principle of management, let's try to understand the meaning of principle of management. See, management principles are the statement of fundamental truth which act as a guidelines for taking managerial actions and decisions. What does it says? It is a principles, okay, are the statement of fundamental truth. It is a truth, okay, which act as a guidelines. As I said you, they are rules, they are a guidelines for taking managerial actions and decisions. So any action you are taking in a management, when I say managerial, it means any managerial actions or decisions. Okay, guys. So I hope you all understood this. Okay, the meaning of principle of management, which is very simple. Now, moving ahead, let me take you all to the next important topic, which is nature, characteristics, features of principle of management. Now, you got to be very, cautious here, because when examiner are asking about it, they may ask either a nature or a characteristics or a feature of principle of management. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. And always, please don't get confused here, guys. Nature's significance of management is different and principle of management is different. Okay. Again, by nature is meant the qualities, the characteristics of anything. Okay. Principles are, a general propositions basically. Principles are nothing but the general rules. What are the rules? What is the nature of those rules? Let's try to understand. Okay. These rules can be related to human behavior in organization. This rule can be related to your production. This rule can be created in a, can be dependent on maybe for a marketing department. It may be for your HR department or any sort of a thing. Okay. Now, coming back to the first principle, the nature of principle of management is universally applicability. When I say universally applicability, when I say the word universal itself means it is applicable all over the globe. That is not only one meaning of it, it is also applicable irrespective of all types of a business, whether it is your hospital industry, whether it is your teaching industry, whether it is your software industry, whether it is your hardware industry, whether it is your real estate industry, whether it is your production hardware production industry, or whether it is a service industry like a banking, insurance, stockbroking, any kind of an industry, this particular principles are applicable. Okay, spot on. That's a period. Okay, that's how it is. Now, the principle of managements are intended to apply to all types of organizations, as I said, whether it is, even if it is for the non-profit organization also. Okay, small as well as a large public sector, even a private sector. When I say public sector, what do you mean? Public sector means an organization which has been taken care or undertaken by the government. Okay, government will undertake the entire management. For an example, what are the government undertakings of our country? We have railways, right? We have defense, we have army. Okay, those all things are certain organizations which has been undertaken by, some of them are undertaken by the central government, and some of the are the organizations which has been undertaken by the state governments. Okay, guys. So all these are, these principles are applicable for each and everything. Okay, guys. So that is the meaning. Whether it is small scale industry or whether it is a, large scale industry whatsoever. It can be applicable. It can be applicable for your. As I said, for all the departments as well, whether it's a production, finance, marketing, research, and all those. Okay, guys. So that is a meaning of universal applicability. Now, coming to your next principle, which is general guidelines. When I say you general guidelines, these all are the general guidelines. These are not a rocket science kind of a rules which has been set by with understanding with lot of theorems, or by doing all what do you say, experiments. By putting a when I say experiments, the practical experiment of a management is different. I mean to say any set of rules. These principles are the guidelines to action basically, but do not provide any ready made. These are just to action, right? It gives you, it gives you the solution to all the managerial problem by this is so because the real business situations are very complex and dynamic. That's the reason the major nature of these principles are general guidelines, because the guideline what is there, the principle what is there for European employees is not the same for the Indian employees, because Indian employees rules are completely different. In Europe, you cannot fire people just like that, but in India everything goes on. If you don't like, people start firing. You might have heard recently in a recent recession, even in the US, whether all the big companies have fired most of the many companies, right? many employees. But in the Europe, like Poland and all, there are certain restriction, employment restriction rules are there. You cannot just do that. So the even the principle can also differ from a country to country. Okay, it is dynamic in nature and depends on a situation to situation. Getting it? Because what we talk, but when in a real business, the situations are very complex and dynamic in nature as a result of many factors. The factor could be anything. However, the importance of management cannot be underestimated. Please take this in a point, this in a mind, guys. The importance, of principles cannot be underestimated because even small guidelines help to solve a given problem. For example, now I'll tell you, for example, in dealing with a situation of a conflict between two departments, a manager may emphasize the primacy of the overall goal of the organization. Getting it? What's happening here? Dealing in a small thing. For example, there is a situation arises that in a department, the manager, is emphasizing, is emphasizing on putting a lot of, importance on the primacy of overall goals. So first, overall goals has to be updated, but in the small this kind of a situation, obviously the guidelines, what does the guidelines say? Guidelines says that the general guidelines says that you have to keep, employees has to keep everything aside when it comes to organization's objective, because when it comes to an organization objective, we have to work as a team, not as an individual, right? So in that way, though these general principles helps a lot. Okay, that's the reason I told you the statement saying that, however, you cannot underestimate the principles of management, though you have a lot of flexibility. Okay, now the third one is, this is formed by a practice and experimentation, which is very true. I keep on saying you every time, because any principle of a management is not set just by saying it, or someone write it and you know for an example, in Infosys we have our the Narayan Murthy, who was a chairman of, who is a founder of the Infosys. He has set certain rules, okay, in his organization. We remember, we have seen the employees of an Infosys who used to wear a formal dress every time, formal shoes, formal shirt, formal pant, and they also used to wear a tie. So it is the principle of his organization which he had put, anyone who joins in. I think there was one day, I think Monday to Thursday, they have to be in a formal, and any one day on a Friday also, on a Friday they can wear a casual. Again, there was a restriction in a casual, they cannot wear a round collar neck t-shirt, they have to wear only the collar neck t-shirt. Those all were the principle which they had formed it. So any principle which they had formed, it is based on the practice and experimentation. Now it is their management decision, it was their chairman's decision which they took it. Okay, now this is the third point. As per the third point, these principles are found by practice and experimentation. Every principle is practiced in organization, and that is experimented. Okay, because it is formed by the collective wisdom. Basically, when I say you the collective wisdom, what is a wisdom? Basically, in a simple sense, a knowledge. Management is not only a one person, right? Management is a group of people. When you say a management, when you say that our higher management is not allowing to do this, then what do you mean? You mean that your higher management is not a one person, it is a committee consisting of all your executive directors, executive VPs, okay, CFO, CEO, everyone, they are the management has decided certain principles to be followed in an organization, or in an, if you take an example of that Infosys dress code, they have decided that is a principle. Okay, that's what it means. For example, it is a matter of a common experience that discipline is indispensable for accomplishing any purpose. The principle finds mentioned in the management theory. On the other hand, in order to remedy the problem of fatigue of a worker in the factory, an experiment may be conducted to see the effect of improvement of physical conditions to reduce stress. Okay, what an example, in a manufacturing industry, if one workman is finding it difficult, right, to do his job continuously for maybe so and so hours, so they are experimenting it. They are, then they will come to a result that okay, it is not justifiable that we must give so much of work to this particular person. Then they will form a practice, instead of 10 hours, sorry, 6 hours, especially on that particular thing, work it on for 4 hours. So that's an experiment. So everything is done, then it is decided. That's what it means. Okay, that is one form by the practice and experiment. Now coming to the fourth nature of a principle of management: flexible. When I say flexible, the word itself says everything. Flexible means what? Like if you see a common word, rigid is straight, okay, which cannot be fold or something. Flexible is something like this, okay, which you cannot, which you can fold it. Or flexible means, adjustable as per the requirement. The principle of management are not rigid prescriptions, okay. Like the doctors gives you, right, some prescription, very strong prescription, right? Every Monday you need to take this tablet. If you take this, if you do not take this tablet, you will get this kind of a fatigue and all. There are no such rigid, like in a chemical industry, if you are mixing up a chemical, you need to add a fixed amount of water to get some solution, to get a reaction of those actions, right? So there is no certain rigid rules here. These all are flexible in nature, which has to be followed absolutely. They are flexible and can be modified by the manager when the situation so demands. Writing it, for example, the best example which I always give you is at the time of a COVID, everyone started, getting panic and no one want to. So the entire worldwide managers, organizations, management took a step to everyone to work from home. But that was okay, need of an hour. Even if you not take that example, take an example, okay, wherein what would be the example? Okay, let's take an example. Okay, in most of time, what happens in Chennai, you will get your floods, right? Heavy rain comes in. So when heavy rain comes in, there is, they take a decisions. They ask the people not to come to office. They give holidays also. Those all are the flexible things. Getting it? As is, they tell us if a particular principle was applied in a particular situation, what would be its like effect? Like the principle of management are less than the perfect, since they mainly apply to human behavior, right? Because no one is a perfect in this world, no guys. So the management is made up of a human being, and the workers are all of them are humans. We are not a robots, so that we don't have feelings, right? We have a feelings, so we will have a difficulties, even we do an error, okay, we do have lot of conflicts. That's the reason we have a flexibility in all those principles considering the human behavior. Okay guys, so the next one is mainly on what do you say, behavioral. Okay, okay, I was coming to the next point. I think I already gave you the explanation for that. So the next nature of a management is mainly on behavioral. See, management principle aim at influencing behavioral of human being. Okay, they influence it. Therefore, a principle of management are mainly behavioral in nature. It is not that these principles do not pertain to things and phenomena at all. Okay, guys, it is just a matter of emphasis. Moreover, the principle enables a better understanding human and a material resources is accomplishing or organization person. For an example, I'll give you an example of this mainly behavior. Okay, behavioral aspect. Okay, While planning the layout of a factory, your order lines would require that workflow are matched by flow of materials and movement of men. Okay, when I say, when you are planning, when you are planning in a production industry, what happens when you plan the layout of a factory, right? When design of a factory, your order line is, your orders of line would require that the workflow are matched by the flow of materials. Your material and your the entire that workflow. When I say a workflow, it is a process of getting that complete work done to get your finished product. Getting it? That is a workflow means. So it has to matched by the flow of material and the movement of men. That has to match exactly. You need to have the right side of your material, all your men has to be of this side. I think this you will be able to understand only when if you go to the company, or any production based company, and understand this. Okay, so at that time, what will happen if your employee who is standing there, he's basically has to give, if he has to give what do you say, more number of effort to get those materials into that belt, or the production belt. Okay, he may get frustrated. So just by thinking his behavioral, that he should not get frustrated, you know we have to think about those things and draw the policies and ensure that those belts are kept next to the workman. Getting it? Anything for that matter. Because individual plays a very important role in an organization, no guys, because it's made up of, organization is what, it's made up of a human being. So especially we have this certain set of rules, right? Certain set of rules which is also in which even a government has made this time, especially for the women workforce in any organization. Okay, you are not supposed to pass any derogatory comments or any comments which is not likable by the women employee, right? And in terms of a respect, whether it is anyone, whether it's whether anyone, whether it's a smaller level employee or a top level employee, you need to give the respect. Okay, that is a mandate. That is a kind of mainly principles which, considering those things, these managerial principles are taken. Okay, which is mainly behavioral in nature. Then the next one is contingent. What is contingent? The application of principle of management is contingent or dependent upon the prevailing situation. Okay, of course, it is dependent at a particular point of time. So when I say you this, uh, the application of the principle has to be changed as per the requirement. For example, employees deserve fair and just remuneration. When I say employees who are working in an organization, they deserve fair fair salaries or remuneration. Okay, but what is just and fair is determined by the multiple factors. Now what is fair? Because now that has to be decided by management, because the organizations, when they set up their salary slabs, see, salary slabs are not same in tier 2 cities and in a metropolis cities or a cosmopolitan cities. Getting it? Because salary slabs, because even the expenditure of an employee may increase in metropolis cities, because is his rent, his travel charge, even the cost of living will be high there. That's the reason the salaries are also high in the metropolis, sorry, in the metros, in the metro cities. Comparatively, if the same organization is getting set up in a tier 2 cities, your salary will be little low. It won't be that low, it will be as per the standards, because here the standard of living is less, those all things. So as per the situation, the principle of management is very if there is any emergency takes place, it can change it at any point of a time. Now what is that fair remuneration is also being decided by the management. Getting it? Now, for example, bonuses, some think that it has to be given only on the basis on the performance. Now some management, some organization thinks that, bonus, let we will give it to each and everyone, to all the employees, whether it is any employee. If it is a Diwali bonus, some organization in India, they give it happily to all the employees. But some organizations, they will again say, prioritize the reward or bonuses basis on the performance. Okay, guys, that is the meaning of contingent as a nature for the principle of management. Now, coming to the last, okay, nature of manage principle of management is cause and effect relationship. When I say cause, remember, would have studied stimuli and stimulus, which is nothing but when there is a cause, there is an effect. So that relationship will be explained here. Okay, the principle of management are intended to establish the relationship between the cause and effect so that they can be used in a similar situation in large number of cases. Okay, uh, whether it is a wage rate for occupation, under consideration, then having described the inherent qualities and the characteristics of a management principle, it should be easy for you to appreciate it. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, coming to that cause and effect. See, for anything, there is a cause and there is an effect, right? So here, what they are saying is they will say us this situation is applied in this situation. They will, the change. They are trying to give the change of principles. If the situation arise, the principle also change. When there is a cause, the effect also will be there. Getting it? For an example, an individual is not identical, right? Every individual is different. Similarly, this cause and effect phenomena work out in organization. When due to, for example, suddenly market goes up and our products started going up because of some reason. What happened in COVID, basically? In COVID, most of the people, you might have seen the revenue of Dolo 650 tablet that has shooted up. What was the cause? The cause was because of a COVID. Everyone were panic and it was advised by the doctors to take a Dolo 650 tablet. And the effect was, what was the effect? The revenue of those particular company who manufacture paracetamol Dolo 650 was highest at that point of a time. So at that time, suddenly company decided to manufacture more number of, they didn't stick for the principle saying that only this much has to be manufactured. They moved on. Getting it, guys? So this cause effect relationship factor also is one of the nature of a principle of management. So you know to summarize, we understood what is principle of management. Principle of management is nothing but your guidelines, basic guidelines of it. Okay, guys? And um, basic guidelines which has to be followed by an organization, and those are flexible in nature. Those are and the nature of it is which is universally accepted, applicable, which has as a very general guidelines, and it is formed on the basis of practice and experimentation. And of course there is a flexibility in it, feasible, flexible, and there is a human, mainly behavioral, is involved. That's the reason principles are made, because lot of human behavior is involved in it, and it is contingent and dependent in nature, which is also has a cause and effect relationship. Okay, guys, so these are the main thing for now today. If I want to go up to the second chapter, it will be too much, because this is very important thing. The next thing is we have to study about significance of principle of management. Then we have tailored scientific management. We will take you to this chapters going forward. Okay, so for now I want to end here the session, and ask you, if you have any questions or any doubts, do mention me. Okay, and yeah, someone has messaged. Okay, let me check up the chat, guys. Sure, why this? Hi, Red Demon. Tell me, what is that? I'm not getting your chat completely. Okay. Check out the names, what you guys keep it even for your chat, guys. Okay, Red Demon, it seems. There are so many good names, huh? I don't know what has happened to our guys. This, you know, being such a good name suddenly. I think they want good attractions in it. Okay, you guys were saying that we were stopping the channel. Yeah, we will stop the channel from going forward. All classes will be in Unacademy. So for today, this would be the last sessions which had which we had planned it. Now going forward, you will find the sessions in an Academy app, which recently we are some of our educators has introduced. Please go ahead and download the app. You will find those things there. Okay. Okay, guys. Goodbye for now. Take care. Do subscribe. Okay, and do download the Unacademy app. And wish you all the best for your studies. Okay. Thank you. Take care. God.